What happens to kids who leave third-rate public schools for the job market? They run into yet another government-imposed roadblock.
The government, in an attempt to protect poor people, often creates new obstacles for them. In the 1950s, the minimum wage was only $1 an hour. Given the price level at that time, that meant there was virtually no minimum.
Starting in 1961, Congress began to push the minimum wage higher. In effect, the law forced teenagers to ask for more than they were worth. As it became more expensive to hire young workers, black teenage unemployment soared. By 1982, the effective minimum wage, including Social Security and other payroll taxes, was almost $4 an hour, and black teenage unemployment stood at nearly 50%. Other factors contributed, but the minimum wage did a lot of the damage.
Enough is enough. We've got to start sharing the wealth in this country and in this province. And we're not just going to sit back and accept that workers have to accept poverty-level wages in one of the richest countries in the world. That's not acceptable.
Nobody who works full-time should ever have to raise a family in poverty.
Well, America's become a rich country with poor people. That's the irony.
At the hallowed halls of Columbia University in New York, Nobel laureate economist Joseph Stiglitz has been charting the rising tide of inequality.
They don't know day to day how much they have to live on. So you make them bear the risk of this capriciousness of the people who walk through the door and how much tips and how much they're going to order, whether they're generous or whether they're tight. Minimum wage in the United States is at the level, adjusted for inflation, that it was in the 50s. That's 60 years ago.
It is, morally outrageous that we are in a country as rich as the U.S., where we have such low, incredibly low minimum wages.
My guys get above minimum wage. They all get different salaries, but they definitely get above minimum wage because I'll tell you why. If I pay my guys a minimum wage and they're barely getting by, they're not going to show the same passion. They're not going to have the same drive, and they're not going to kind of work on a consistent basis because they're barely getting by anyway. But you pay good, you get good.
You can't live on a minimum wage.
No, you can't live on minimum wage. The average rent of a one-bedroom apartment in New Jersey has to be anywhere from $8,000 to $1,000. That's their whole check for the month. You have to eat, you have to have a phone, you have to have lights, you have to have a car, you have to have, I can name everything, and now you haven't even had food yet. So, you definitely have to raise the wage in New Jersey.
People come over here to this country for the American dream, but when they can't even give their citizens the dream, it just hurts. It's like I work for a living to provide for my family, to live the American dream. With the poverty wages that Walmart gives us, I'm just going to be stuck at the bottom.
Are you running on